Thank you for finding the time.
I will admit, it's not entirely unpleasant seeing you again.
Eventually.
Why?
The first 15 minutes of the first episode were the thing that got me feeling the most excited. I was very hopeful watching that because we had the gang back, but only for the first 15 minutes. And then other than that, my best moments were in the finale. A lot of the Punisher stuff. I'm glad that we got to see him more in this episode because I kind of wish that we had seen him more during this season. The whole season just felt very disjointed. I feel like you can feel a lot of the production issues that they had. And some of these storylines just went nowhere. Like news, we didn't need that. Just cut that out.
I would say the first time that we meet Punisher this season, that was probably the highlight up until now. It was good to have him in the show. He was probably the most consistent character. A lot of the problems were just Marvel-made problems. They had rehab that they needed to do on Kingpin because they screwed him up in his other appearances in the shows. You know, when Hawkeye and Echo, they kind of had to work to get his character back to the point where he was actually the Kingpin, which I think by the end of this finale, spoilers guys, where he crushes a guy's head, for sure that's the Kingpin that we're dealing with. We didn't even need the counseling, you know? They could have cut that whole thing out. They didn't even need Heather Glenn as a character who turns out she was a turncoat. And by the end of this, she ends up working for Fisk. She was terrible for a reason, we all knew. They also had to rehab Matt just a little bit. I know some fans maybe didn't have as much of a problem with his appearance in She-Hulk. I had major problems with it. They got him rehabbed, you know, a little bit in the show and basically showed that Karen is his main thing, because as soon as he woke up after being shot, that was the name that he called out, which that was like, I know that was a dagger. I mean, for any woman that's ever been through that type of thing, that was like a dagger. I was just like, oh shit.
That was tough. I, like, out loud, I was like, ooh, okay. Yeah, I think it was kind of setting us up for what we got in the rest of the episode, because then we did have Karen coming in to save the day and help out. So I think that this season, it just felt like a big ad. They had to do all that rehab, as you said. They did all these other things with the characters in other projects, so they got them back to where we want them. So really, it just felt like a ramp up to season 2. This left a bad taste in my mouth, but I'll still give season 2 a chance.
Even though there was a ton of violence in this episode, the finale, I thought that a lot more characters were gonna get off, because I felt when we started the show that a lot of these people were like NPC, but they ended up doing what some people may think are interesting things with characters. Like obviously Heather Glenn is going to work for Fisk now as the commissioner of mental health. Miss Sheila, you know, she ended up, you know, turning in the commissioner so that Kingpin could rip his head off. And Mr. Daniel, he's going to be Fisk thug. I still think at some point he's going to get thrown under their bus.
I think the most disappointing thing is just the lack of Daredevil. The show is called Daredevil Born Again, and they took all season to have him be born again. So it's just, I guess, not what I expected.
I'm disappointed yet again that Marvel keeps doing the same thing that they do in all of these shows that they put on Disney Plus. Every show is not about the main character. This could have been called Kingpin Born Again, to be honest, because they fucked this character up so much that they had to build him back up again. Even though I loved Punisher showing up in this, I kind of feel like he was kind of like a patch on the season. They're like, oh yeah, if we bring him back, the fans will love that. And, you know, I seriously, I thought they were going to kill him. I was going to have a connection about it. But they didn't do that, and instead, they put him as a prisoner underneath Red Hook, which makes absolutely no sense, because, you know, the last time that Kingpin and Punisher saw each other, they told each other that one of them wasn't walking away. I don't know why Fisk would think that he could just keep Frank prisoner underneath his building and have that work. And then we have Officer Born Yesterday talk to him like he's his best buddy. And hey, man, come over here, shake my hand. And it was so bad. I wish they had not shown us that. I could have lived with maybe wondering whether or not Frank was alive or dead, but to have him escape in such a stupid way. Stupid! I'm totally baffled. And maybe let me know if you feel the same way. Because Matt and Karen end up outside of the warehouse that Punisher is in, and yet they just have a conversation and they leave. And it's like, you just told us that you heard Frank's heartbeat, not that long ago, and you didn't realize he was getting his ass beat in there, and you just fucking walk away. That just bothered me so much. And then also, at the end, you say you have an army. You need Frank on that army. You need maybe Luke Cage. Maybe you need Jessica Jones. You need other either powered or vigilante people to help you. It seems rather unrealistic that he's going to be able to take back the city from this without some people getting dead. I don't know how that works. We're not going to see Spider-Man, although he was referenced in the show. I seriously doubt that he shows up. Although it's kind of unrealistic that he doesn't show up. I'm not looking forward to next season. I'll watch it because it's supposedly Daredevil. I can't recommend this show. If you're a fan of the Daredevil show from Netflix, I don't necessarily feel like I can recommend Daredevil Born Again for you to start watching, because I think a lot of people are just going to be mostly feeling disappointed that this is not on the same level as that show.
I would agree. I think that this feels like a Marvel Daredevil. You can really feel the MCU in this. So I would say just rewatch the original, Netflix Daredevil, because that was much more satisfying than this one. For a rating, I would give it maybe like a 6 out of 10 or like a 5.5 out of 10. Be sure to let us know what you thought about it in the comments. I know that some people did really enjoy it, so I'd love to have a discussion, see what other people thought, and we'll catch you next time.